What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dave Keefe and this is a Vernus Biker Lifestyle. What this channel is all about is reselling. What I mean by that is I buy things cheap from car boot sales, charity shops, auctions, that kind of thing, and sell them online to make a profit, and that's how I make a living. Now I've got two apologies to make today. First of which, I'm going to be sweating profusely. It's the hottest day of the year by a long way, and this is not a pleasant predicament for a fat bloke. You can probably tell the dryness in my voice as well, but we're going to soldier on. But if you can hear a whirring in the background, that's the fan, and I'm not turning it off for anybody. The second apology I need to make is I chose to take a bit of a break from vlogging with a high likelihood that the boot sale was going to be absolutely rammed as well, and that was the case. So I am feeling a little bit guilty about that. So what I thought I'd do is something a little bit different than my normal videos. Now don't worry, this isn't a permanent change. This is just probably a one-off depending on how it goes and depending on how it's received by you lot, obviously. But I thought I'd go all shopping channel style-y. So what we're going to need is a studio. And what else do we have on shopping channels? Oh, one of these things, and now we're good to go. So the idea is I'm going to take you through what I picked up and how much I'm expecting to list it for. Now, as is customary with my videos, what I do is tell you the total amount of pickups and the total amount spent. The reason I do that rather than tell you what I've paid for individual items is because what you pay for items at car boot sales particularly is very subjective. Just because I pay a certain amount for a certain item, it doesn't mean to say that you can buy that item for that price. It's very much dependent on how lucky you get. It's very much dependent on your own negotiation skills. So that's the reason I do that anyway. And also it gives a good indication of a collective view of how well you've done on a certain day. Now the boot sales in question for this particular video are the Banks boot sale over at Southport and the Parkour boot sale at Chorley. So these pickups are in no particular order. The total amount spent was £215, and for that I picked up 42 items. So let's get into it. First up, this really nice pair of pink Hunter wellies. Smaller than I'd like at a size 3, but Hunter is an exceptionally good brand for wellies and certainly ones to be watching out for. Definitely make sure you give them a good once over as far as quality is concerned, because older wellies tend to split, and in the case of Hunters, and probably all of them with the adjustable belt on, that over time that can get quite brittle. So make sure you give it a good pull and see if it will snap. Now in spite of them being a size 3, they're in really good condition, so the listing value on these £25. Next up, these are items that I haven't picked up for such a long time because from my experience there's not really that much money in them, but these Horlicks mugs really stood out to me. If you check the comps, sometimes in fact in a lot of instances they're single listings, but what I'm going to do with these is bundle them together, and as far as mugs are concerned it's really healthy listing value on these. My listing value on these is £20. Next up, an AGV helmet. Now you've probably seen me pick up in my previous videos quite a few AGV helmets. I tend to go for the more funkier looking ones, and ideally size medium and above. I will buy helmets that are smaller than that if they are particularly nice designs or decent models, and this one has a really cool Union Jack graphics going on about it. It really is in exceptional condition. I know I've only taken a single picture of each of these items and it's quite difficult to tell in some cases, but with this helmet it is in absolutely spot on condition inside and out, and for that reason I put a listing value of £60 on it. Some more bike gear, these City motorcycle boots. City is a really good brand for boots, very popular. These need a little bit of work in terms of tarting them up a bit because they're a little bit grubby. There's no significant scuffing or damage. I think the sliders have had a bit of a knock, but that's to be expected from used boots, and the sliders, the toe sliders, can be swapped out anyway, so people aren't generally too fussed about that. Aside from that, really good nick. Give them a wipe up and they're good to go. They're a size 10, so bang on the money as far as a decent adult's foot size is concerned. Obviously male, I would have thought. Listing value on those are very comfortable £25. Regular viewers to my channel will see me pick up these Screwball Scrambles on a number of occasions. Screwball Scrambles still a very popular game. Lots of different versions of this one, but the vintage ones definitely go for more money. Checking recent comps, the listing value on these has come down a bit. It's probably because of the time of year and because of availability, but with these I'm more than happy to sit on them till closer to Christmas. Both in almost identical condition, slightly different degrees of wear on the boxes, but both complete. The valuation I've put on them is a July valuation condition, and that is £16 each. Closer to Christmas, if they're still hanging around, I'll be looking to get £20 plus for them. Now today I picked up 2 lots of Duplo from the same seller, and there's a little bit of a story with the second one, which I'll come on to a little bit later in the video. Now this green bucket, it's not necessarily a full set, but I tend to find that Duplo will sell well as bundled, just random items. In this box though, there is Batman figures, so that will add to the value. Not entirely sure how many pieces there are in this bucket as yet, but clearly the bucket's full, and the listing value I put on this is £20. Another bread and butter pickup, this is a Technica DAB radio. DAB radio is still very, very popular obviously, and really strong sellers, quick flips as well. This one did actually come with its power cable. Technica is more of a bog standard brand as far as DAB radio is concerned, but even so, listing value on this one, £15. Now this next item is me stepping outside my comfort zone. It's something I recommend everybody does every time they go out, because if you're constantly looking at things, that's when you find new and profitable items. Now this is an expansion set pack, not entirely sure of the correct phrase for this one, for Dungeons and Dragons games, which is a role-playing game. Not something I've ever been into, to be honest. It all seems very, very complicated, but I know there's a massive market for it. The brand on this one is TSR. Obviously I gave it a look over when I was on site, and most of the ingredients to this game are completely unused. The little cards are not pressed out from the original sheets, and it looks in immaculate condition inside. Unfortunately the box looks a little bit shelf worn, but because of the nature of these games, it's not something I'm overly concerned about. I did actually pay up for this as well, but I know that some versions of this game or this type of game can go for ridiculous amounts of money. In this instance, the listing value I've got on this is £39. Now I do like picking up my football boots, and these Adidas Coletto are in excellent condition. Now every now and again I'll strike it lucky and pick up a pair of boots that's worth £60, £70, £80 plus, but more often than not, and probably obviously, they're more bread and butter kind of valuations. These are a size 7 as well, which is probably more of a youth size. They don't look like they've had very much wear at all. Listing value on these, £20. Now this one is definitely, without question, a bolo alert. This is the Panasonic DMR EZ48V. It's a VHS DVD combi, and the reason these are a bolo and the reason these are so sought after is because the DVD side is a DVD recorder. So these are bought by people wanting to convert the VHS tapes onto DVD. Because of that, they command very, very high values. Now at the time of filming this video, I have actually already listed this, and prior to listing I always do an extra level of research so that I'm listing accurate prices. Now for the purposes of this video and the grand total, I put a listing value of £150 on this, but after further research I've actually listed it for £198. There are some listings that are higher than that for this item, but the reason I've done that is because not only does it have its original remote, it's also got its original manual with it as well, and it's in pretty immaculate condition. It's certainly a lot better than a lot of comparable listings that are live at the minute. Definitely watch out for these. I mean, VHS DVD combis are always good news anyway. They're always fetching pretty decent money, but if you can get a VHS DVD combi with the DVDs, a DVD recorder, just grab it, as long as you're obviously paying a reasonably low amount of money for it. Next up, an item that I'm picking up quite regularly now, skates, whether it be inline or quad skates. I pick these skates up because they just look really, really cool. They're more of a street hockey style. Inliners is a pretty generic Chinese brand, but that doesn't concern me at all, particularly if they're cool looking and they're a decent adult size. I don't pick up kids skates at all. I don't find there's any value in them, and they're certainly not worth the effort because almost always they trip over the magic 2 kilo mark for postage, and they're just that bit more of a pain in the chuff to box up and send off. So adult skates all the way down the line. These are a size 9.5, and the listing value I've put on them is £45. Now these shoes are a brand that I'm only recently familiar with. I have heard of the brand before, incidentally it's Merrell, but I always thought it was an American brand or more popular in the States. But there is a decent market for them in this country as well. I'd always say walking, hiking, boots, trainers, shoes, definitely worth doing your research on, definitely worth checking comps, because quite often they will surprise you on how much they're worth, even in second-hand, relatively tatty condition. So definitely check them out. These hiking trainers are only slightly slightly tired looking, but they're a pretty cool style, and the listing value I've put on them is £35. It's been a while since I picked up a book box set. This is a 10 book set of Doctor Who, official BBC product, in really good condition. The outer box is a little bit on the tatty side, and there is a little bit of discoloration to the page edges of the books, but aside from that they look completely unread. It's usually pretty easy to tell with books if they've been well read or not. Doctor Who stuff's always worth looking at because it's such a popular franchise, and in the case of this book box set, the listing value I've put on it is £20. Now, a bit of a story with these patio cleaners. The brand is Ferex, which is a brand that's imported by Aldi. I think possibly even Lidl as well, but certainly Aldi. I've had a load of these just recently. Aldi were clearing them, and of course I do like a supermarket clearance. Does that sound like Del Winton? Now, the bit of a story with these ones is I actually initially walked away from the deal. Picked up 3 of them from the same seller. I did walk away because he wanted a £10 each for them, and obviously, me being me, I tried to do a deal, offered him 25, he wouldn't go for it, so I just bit my lip and walked away. Within, I would say, 90 seconds, I'd probably walked about 30-40 yards. Cheeky chappy came running up behind me, said, "Do you still want those? We'll do that deal at the price he said." Now, that does happen. It's happened twice in 2 weeks for me. But it does happen. People do change their minds. You've just got to be brave and stick to your guns. And it's just good sport to barter with people. But in this instance, he accepted my offer. And the reason I'm very, very confident in my £30 each listing value is because I've sold quite a few of them lately at that price. This Wii console bundle is one of 2 I've picked up recently. Bizarrely, both minus their sensor bars. So I'm going to have to source sensor bars for them. I do have some games that I can bundle with this as well. Now, because we've come out of lockdown now, the price on Wii consoles has just tanked, but I'm sure that I'll pick up closer to Christmas. I do have, I think, 3 or 4 in stock at the moment, so the listing value I've put on it at the moment is a middle of the year listing value, which is £40. Closer to Christmas, that price is going to start creeping up because demand will increase. More football boots. I actually thought these would be worth more than they were. That wasn't me prejudging, it's just something when something catches your eye, and if I don't know for sure, then I'll always do my research on site. These are Adidas 11 Questra, a decent size 11. They're in absolutely immaculate condition with one exception. On the fabric on the top rim there's a little bit of a nick which lets it down slightly, but aside from that they look barely worn. I'm not quite sure if it picks it up on the picture, but they're like a metallic purple, which really caught my eye. Listing value on these is £20. Now, this little device I picked up, if I'm completely honest, because I want to play with it. I seem to remember these from a few years ago and wanting one and then forgetting all about it, and I spotted it at the boot sale, so I was going to stick my name on it. But when it does get listed, the listing value I've put on it is £20. Another bolo from today. These are Solovair shoes, S-O-L-O-V-A-I-R. They're a brand of I nearly said Dr. Pepper then. They're a brand of Dr. Martens, size 9, in immaculate condition. These definitely never been worn. It doesn't look like they've been even tried on. Always worthwhile paying up a little bit for this kind of thing. Again, obviously do your comps. But because of the size and condition, and obviously the brand of these, the listing value I've put on them is £75. Some more roller skates. These are brand new in the box and really cool retro looking skates. A size 5, which I suppose is more of a standard women's size. And listing value I've put on these is a very conservative £30. Now, time for an ad break because this chubby bloke is melting and I need a drink. So we'll be back right after these messages.
Are you a man? Are you a man that likes to do man stuff? Are you a man that likes to do man stuff with man tools? Are you a man that likes to do man stuff with man tools and wear your Sunday best shirt while you're doing it? Sausage, the smell of a man.
Hiya, my name's Barry Bacon. I'm here to talk to you about the benefits of eating bacon. Bacon is great. Eat more bacon. Well, welcome back, folks, and straight back to it. Next is this really cheeky little travel chess computer. The brand is Sysys, S-C-I-S-Y-S. Chess computer's always good news. Really popular item. Listing value on this one, £25. Another bread and butter pickup, a Flashpad. To this day, I've sold loads and loads and loads of different Flashpads, different brands, all seem to go for the same kind of money. And to this day, I've still no idea how they work or what they're all about, but I do know there's a market for them. Bread and butter price on this, and the listing value £12. So more Merrills. These are more of a boot than a trainer, a little bit more tired than the blue ones you saw earlier, but boots are generally speaking are more solid sellers than trainers. The model on these is the black light, but I think generally speaking it's the brand that sells them rather than the model. The listing value on these, again, £35. Now, after never picking it up in my reselling life ever, in the last 2 weeks I've got 3 different bundles of Laura Ashley wallpaper. 3 different types. Really landed on this, because in this instance all these 5 rolls of blue striped Laura Ashley wallpaper are the same batch number, which is important to a lot of people. For those of you that don't know, the batch numbers are on every single roll of wallpaper, and the reason it's important that the batch numbers are matching is because often different batches can be slightly different colours or slightly different pattern matches, so that people can be confident that they get the best result out of the wallpaper they're buying. They're really interested that they're the same batch number. So these 5 rolls, the listing value I've put on them is £85. Now, a lot of people will say that I'm undervaluing that, because generally speaking you can get upwards of £20-25 a roll for Laura Ashley wallpaper, but I'm more interested in a fast flip in these instances. I don't really like larger items hanging around for too long if I can possibly manage it, because I've only got a finite amount of space in my stockroom. Now, these Skechers trainers are they're in mint condition. They're brand new. They've never been worn, no question about it. The model is the Goger Mat, size 7, and because they're brand new, listing value I've put on them is £30. And this is a brand that's new to me, Cruyff. I've never heard of the brand before, because they look quite interesting and probably quite fashionable. Not that I know anything about fashion, of course. I thought I'd check the comps on them anyway, because I was looking at quite a number of items from the same seller. Nothing spectacular value wise, but because they look really cool and because they're in decent condition, pick them up, and the listing value on those £20. Nintendo 64 Controller. For my money, probably the best console ever made. I don't want to start a nerd fight or anything like that. It's just my take on this. Every single part of this console, every single part of the N64 console has value. Just recently I've sold the power brick, I've sold the AV leads, I've even sold the empty bare bones of an N64, and of course the controllers are going to be value as well. Nothing spectacular, of course, but certainly worth picking them up if you're picking them up cheaply enough. Listing value on this £15. Now, those of you that watch my videos regularly will know I do like a phone setup. This is the BT7610 Trio. Now, in a lot of cases, if a set like this isn't fetching as much as you'd like, the ingredients can actually go for more than the whole setup. So don't completely dismiss it if you haven't got decent margin in a pickup like this. Always look at the ingredients, the phone bases, the handsets, the chargers, the phone line, all the different ingredients. Price check those as well. But in the case of this Trio, the listing value, I am going to be selling it as a set, and the listing value I've put on it is £30. Now, this Sony DVD player, I think actually it's sold, because I'm recording this a couple of days after the boot sale itself. I listed it pretty much straight away, and it's perhaps not surprising that there is still market for compact DVD players. This one had its original remote with it as well, and a bundled HDMI cable. Nice bread and butter listing. The listing value and the sale price was £20. Some more football boots. These Nike Total 90. The Total 90 as a range are always worth looking at, because they tend to fetch a little bit more money than your standard bread and butter kind of boots. Decent adult size, again a size 8. Listing value on these £30. A couple of pairs of Levi's now. The first pair, the size is a 38 waist, 32 leg. Immaculate condition. Just listed these and the next ones today actually. And listing value on this and the next pair are £25. Now, this is the second set of Duplo that I mentioned earlier on in the video. Picked up from the same seller as the last set. This bundle is probably a little bit bigger as well actually. Again, I don't know how many pieces there are in there. There's probably actually more pieces with this than there was in the green bucket. So the listing value I've put on the Duplo is £25. However, talking to the seller, he said you might as well keep the basket that they're in, mate, because I don't have any bags. And it wasn't until I closed the lid of the basket, I saw this. Now a few of you may be familiar with these markings. This isn't just any old wicker basket. This is a picnic basket from Fortnum & Mason, which is a shop in London. I don't think there are any other Fortnum & Masons anywhere, and I'm led to believe that this is where the Queen, or certainly one of her staff, does the Queen's shopping for her. Now if you check the comps on Fortnum & Mason baskets, there are some that go for obscene amounts of money. This one is very much a low-end kind of basket, but I'm certainly not complaining, basically because essentially I didn't pay a penny for it. So I will be selling the basket separately, and the listing value I've put on it is £25. Next up, I picked these bowls up probably on habit more than anything else. I've sold a considerable number of bowls just recently, and a lot of them for really good money as well. We're talking in some instances around about the £100 mark. So I do like looking at bowls. I'm learning more as I go. I don't pretend to be an expert on them, but I'm certainly to a stage where I can advise people to check comps on them, definitely. These are old school wooden bowls, no significant value to them. I tend to find with these type wooden bowls that they use more as ornaments than they are actual bowls. No significant value, but the listing value I've put on them is £20. Now on these items, it was the brand that attracted me to them more than anything else. I didn't have a clue what they were, but the brand is Sonos, which I'm very familiar with. I have the Sonos gear at home and it's just incredible. Very much old tech these now. They're very old models. They're CR100. They're controllers, basically multi-room controllers. They've been kind of superseded now by the likes of Alexa and Google Home and stuff like that, where everything's voice controlled now. But back in the day, you could have one of these devices in any room and control your music from anywhere in the house, essentially. Now I paid buttons for all three of these, and the reason, if it wasn't for that fact, I probably would have left them, in spite of the fact they are Sonos gear, because they are a pretty minging condition actually. I think at least one, maybe two of them have spent its life in a greasy kitchen, or certainly been left stored on the top of a kitchen cupboard, and none of them actually came with the adapters that they need to power them. But because I paid buttons for them, I was always going to take that chance. The listing value on each of them is £20. Next up, a Sentinel fishing chair. Fishing chairs are something that I've only just recently flagged up on my radar, probably from watching other YouTubers, because that's a really smart move. I mean, you can't just use my experiences for examples of stuff to pick up. I would certainly recommend just watching everybody absorb as much information as you can. And this case, it was me absorbing information from another YouTube reseller. Can't remember who it was, but fishing chairs are good money if you can be bothered storing them and packing them. Obviously a little bit more difficult to post in your standard item, but still good money to be made. Listing value on this chair, £30. Last of the pickups today, again an item I've sold a few of, different brands and different styles and setups. This is an 8mm film projector. UMIG is the brand, EUMIG. It's a brand I am familiar with. It's not necessarily very high end, it's more entry level kind of projectors. A surprisingly big market for stuff like this. I mean, again, it's something that's a pain in the backside to post because they are heavy and they do have breakable elements as well. So as far as tick boxes are concerned, when you're picking stuff like this up, if it's got its original box with its original polystyrene packaging, you know it's going to be that bit safer when you come to post it, and obviously that bit quicker for you to package it up as well. Listing value on this projector is £50. Okie dokie then, totals time. Like I say, total spend today was £215, and for that I picked up 42 items. This was over 2 boot sales, both Banks at Southport and the Park Hall boot sale at Chorley, and the total gross listing value of all these items is £1,343. Now whichever way you cut it, that is a really good return on investment. Now just to qualify those prices, as I always do, all those items, the value I've put them is going to be plus postage, and perhaps I'm stating the obvious, but these are gross valuations, so there's still eBay fees to come off that, there's still money to put aside for the tax at the end of the year, and of course if some of these items turn into slower sellers over time, I may take offers on them, I may reduce the price accordingly. So as a snapshot in time, right at this moment, those are my listing valuations. Now normally this is a time in a video I would say, if you've seen anything that I've missed on the tables as I've been going around the boot sales, then hit me up in the comments below, but obviously you didn't see it because I didn't film it. I won't do that again, sorry, or maybe I will. If you like the format of this video, then just let me know and maybe I'll do it again, I don't know. But if you have found any kind of entertainment or enjoyment out of this video, or reselling is your thing, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel and helps me to hopefully help other people with their reselling journey. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, standard script guys, smash that subscribe button and the notification bell will give you a notification of next time I post a video. I've had a bit of fun making this video, to be honest, but at the end of the day, you guys are the ones that are important. Thank you so much indeed for your support. It really is appreciated. I've been Dave Keith. You've been amazing as always. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.